Hey, so I'm under the camper right now trying to figure out some measurements regarding the axle placement because when I'm towing the camper, it pulls at an angle. It is canted more toward the driver's side when I'm pulling it. So I'm trying to figure out perceptual abilities stuff to figure all this out. And this thing is so cheaply made, I can't tell what's actually square and what's placed. And I don't know that they're consistent when they're measuring cross beams placing them and welding them underneath this thing on the frame. I'm going to show you. So there's the front. Back's behind us. These cross members, I'm not sure they're actually made square. I haven't put a square on them to see, so I don't really know. So using them as a reference to where how to figure out measurements on my axle brackets, my spring perch brackets, is kind of a pain in the rear. I've got a plumb bob here set off of the leading edge of the wheel well on each side, and I measure from this rim lip here, but on the outside, the furthest forward part of that rim lip to the plumb bob line, and the passenger side is half an inch. The wheel is half an inch closer to that plumb bob line than the driver's side. Or however you want to say it, the driver's side is pushed back further by half an inch. I was like, okay, why? Well, my forward spring perch to the axle bracket measurement is the same on both sides, so I don't think anything slid on the springs, the U-bolts. And I can't see any marks of that happening. When I measure this cross member to this spring perch, I get a discrepancy side to side. And it's just like the plumb bob measurement. Things on the passenger side, cross member to bracket, are off. Now I'm measuring at a little bit of an angle, so the actual straight line measurement, I'm not sure what it is, but we're about eighth of an inch, or not an eighth of an inch, let me think about that, a little over eighth of an inch measuring at an angle off passenger side to driver side. So it's the situation that would put the passenger side of the axle further forward than the driver's side. And I'm trying to confirm that every which way because I was like, well, what if they don't make sure these brackets are square? Like, okay, well, this piece, we can assume it's probably flat. Well, forget that. That doesn't work either, because if they measured one side to the other, or if they didn't make it square or go off some measurement, and this is not a set thing, then one side could be off the other. Regardless, this is my contraption I came up with. So, magnet, piece of square bar, or square tube, I guess you could say. It was flat, best I could tell, and it's stuck to a magnet. Got the level set up, and so I'm measuring. I'm going to show you very well. Measuring that gap right there, and sure enough, the sides are different. So the gap is bigger here. In my mind, that means that the axle is further forward, making that measurement bigger than the identical measurement on the driver's side. So I think I've checked it 2 or 3 different ways, and even if things are not quite exact, the most telling one for me was the plumb bob on the tire, or the rim, but everything else kind of supported that. And again, I don't think the axle slid on the spring purchase or on the leaf springs or anything like that with bad bumps. I think they literally welded on this side of the bracket almost half an inch further forward on the passenger side than they did the driver's side. And that's why it tows at an angle. Weirdest thing ever. So, and I thought, well, maybe even if they did, I suppose they could compensate for it by just sliding the U-bolt bracket and everything on the shackle or on the leaf spring setup to compensate for that. No, the measurements from that lower bracket to the front side of that lower leaf spring are the same on both sides, and also the leading part of the axle tube to this bracket, the measurement here to there is the same on both sides. So I think that the leaf spring setup is identical on both sides, but I think the passenger side got welded further forward than the driver's side, is my best guess. And so when it all straightens out, that means the tail end of the camper, if I'm thinking correctly, dog legs off to the driver's side at an angle when I'm towing it. I don't know if that means it's going to wear tires or bearings out or something. Where's my light? But it's kind of an interesting thought. These are built pretty cheap. So that's one thing. Kind of love to hear if you think that's correct or if I'm just nuts, because my brain is not real clear thinking right now with all this alpha gal dumb stuff. That's the best I got, though. To show you the other thing I'm working on. So my thought is, if that sounds correct, and I think it is, then I'm just gonna loosen up the switch this over. I'm gonna loosen up the U-bolt bracket setup, and I'm gonna sledgehammer the driver's side forward about half an inch, because it visibly looks a little different. And I'm gonna go from there until I get, similar measurements on my plumb bobs. That's what I'm gonna go by. I don't think I can do anything else besides that. Anyway, okay, pause real quick. Well, I don't have to pause. Let me grab my fancy measurer here. I'll show you the other thing. So, turns out, I'm sure you remember the roof had the one side had a hole poked in it, and I had to do a bunch of attempted handyman repairs on my own. It's not really my thing, but I tried. Seems okay. I didn't see any other leaks. So the other thing, the thing that all the repair shops have told me has pretty much ruined the camper. It's not worth anything. Well, I'm not going to go spend more on a new camper. I'll never get anything out of this one. These things have, I'm going to show you here. So the wall, this entire wall, all the way across, and this is the slide right here, is held on underneath by little sill plates. And they're just stacked little 1x or 1.5s, something like that. There's a couple of them stacked on top of each other here and here with bolts that and brackets that go from the wall through the sill plate, because you can see the outline of it right here. That's the edge, right? They're called outrigger bolts, and they go to the frame. That's what holds the wall, the body, to the frame, right there. These things loosen up all the time. So every stop I make, I tighten them up, just make sure they're okay, like every nightly stop. Most of them are okay. It's just a thing, right? You can't tighten them up too much because this is just wood. It'll compress the wood and make it looser and looser and looser. But it does make a lot of noise when these get loose, I've noticed. So much better when they're fixed. However, we've got some problems. I don't know if you can see down there. That guy right there, that is an outrigger bolt that is pulled through. So I wasn't sure what that meant originally. Ow. And looking at, it was not like this. It came through on the last trip, okay? But and you can see it's just like a carriage bolt. You can kind of see the square edges there. But it's rusty. And it was not, when I had it up in there like that, you can see where it goes from okay to rusty, the part that was up in there. That has pulled through. And when I haven't even done this yet, I feel this pretty solid, it's okay. Solid. Nothing. Ooh, that doesn't sound good all the way up. That's rotten. I can feel debris all the way back in here. So, and this all feels, ooh, nice and crunchy. I'll bet you there's nothing up under there. Nice. Bunch of rot right there, I'll bet you. You know what I wonder? Wonder if it's up here like that too. I don't hear a bunch of debris on that side, so yeah, maybe that's a little better. I don't know about under here. Yeah, that feels okay. Anyway, so what I get to do, yeah, that doesn't feel good either. And like there's a difference. This is riding, this outrigger is compressed up into the sill plate. I bet you that's rotten too. That feels okay. So this section, which happens to be under the fridge, okay? I assume that's the fridge drain, which I've never even looked at it. Wouldn't shock me if that thing's clogged. This is the area where, if you remember, I'm having problems with my slide, tore the floor up, the fridge cabinet was collapsing down. I think this is why. This thing. So, not the safest. That means that this back section is barely held onto the chassis. What I'm going to do is this, whatever this membrane is called, I don't remember. It's a special membrane. Anyway, it folds up underneath this lower trim plate, which is separate from the siding. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it loose all the way around from the wheel well back. I don't think I want to mess with the front side. It's doing okay. And, pull my wheel trim, arch trim and stuff like that off. Yeah, I don't even know. I'll probably just have to re-silicone everything back here, but that'll be okay. So I'll pull this off and pull back my membrane under here that's stapled in on the side underneath this plate and see if I can, I don't know, I'll loosen excuse me, loosen up my other stuff, see if I can access everything inside and create some L brackets and replace some wood and probably some basic flooring from underneath. Apparently you're supposed to do this from underneath. The RV repair shop said that it was easily a 10 grand job or more, and said I was better off just going and getting a different camper. I said get one from 2013 or 2012, 2013 and earlier. They're just built a little better wood, everything. But you can't find these single axle ones hardly before then. There's not very many. And they're definitely not laid out like ours is. That's friendly on space. So here I am again. I'm going to butcher this thing on my own. We'll see what comes of it. But I kind of got things laid out. I think I know what I can do for the axle. I'm reasonably confident that will take care of the dogleg towing. And just time to take this thing apart and be happy with silicone and sealer and hammers and wood and jacks and whatever else. See if I can get her tightened down a little bit. I'm not up to replacing flooring inside. I really don't want to rip apart the inside again. And I don't know how I would get all of the old linoleum, whatever, out. I could cut outlines of things, but the new stuff is not going to look right. So I don't know what I'll do on that yet, because it runs. I assume they run that under almost everything, and then they build out the inside and put the cabinets and everything in, because it's underneath most things. I don't know. That's that. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.